What is up, everyone? This is Raphael Garcia here on Monday, March 8th to talk about AEW Revolution on a super rare Monday edition of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. But I am here partly because AEW Revolution ran so fucking long that I just went to bed at 12 o'clock last night and I was not in the mood to stay up and record this review and reaction show. So I said, you know what? It's going to have to come Monday after work. So here we are. But before I jump into reviewing this show, I want to say thank you for everyone who takes the time to listen to our content. As always, you can check out this podcast and the MMA Ratings podcast once a week, where myself and Shawan Humes talk about all things combat sports. And you can find us across our multiple channels. Of course, there is MMARatings.net, where you can catch all of our content there, along with MMARatings.com and all of our social media platforms at MMA Ratings Net in both spaces, Instagram and Twitter. You can hit us up on multiple podcast networks at MMA Ratings on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Breaker, and I think a few others as well. Me, you can hit me up at rgarcia_sports. So let's talk about AEW Revolution. Of course, we're going to talk about that ridiculous ending. But before we get there, let's start with the buy-in, where we got a great surprise, and that is Maki Itoh making her debut on American soil. Because what occurred was Britt Baker faked that Reba was injured and she needed a special partner to take Reba's place against Thunder Rosa and Riho on the buy-in, and that partner was Maki. So she comes in, does her singing bit, and the crowd loved every moment of it. Of the three big surprises of the night, I think she may have been the biggest, or she may have gotten the best reaction, just because a lot of people have been really interested in her since her unveiling in the World Women's Title Eliminator tournament. But this was a decent match. Uh, Ito and Baker get the victory after Reba smashes Ito in the face, or Thunder Rosa in the face, and they pin her there to get the win. I want to say one thing though, Thunder Rosa is legit. I love her. It's unfortunate that she's not signed with AEW because she should be the women's champion. I could see her and Sheeta having, they had a great match last year, and Rosa is involved with NWA right now. She's actually referenced in their relaunch and rebrand press release. You can find more over at Daily DDT, where Sam Gladden covered that news maybe like last week or the week before. But Thunder Rose is legit. Love her. I'm glad to see her continuing to get such a solid push and solid placement. She's going to be a big name. Like, she's big. She's big now, but she's a wrestler's wrestler in my opinion. I think she's going to be huge. So the first match on the pay-per-view was, and I watched on a PS4 last night. I only had two technical issues where I had to kind of restart the show. Not restart the show, but close out of the app and get back into it. But it was no problems there. But the first match was MJF and Jericho versus the Young Bucks. Now, me personally, I couldn't care less about this match because I'm over all four men involved. I'm just not here. Like, the Young Bucks never really interested me. MJF never did. I was a Chris Jericho fan before he became, MAGA Jericho, and I'm just not interested in these guys. The match was great. I liked that they did a little bit of a, rougher edge with the Bucks being pissed that Jericho beat up their father, but that wasn't enough to get me really invested and involved in this match. They did their thing. Hats off to them, but again, could not care less. The Bucks get the victory when they pinned Jericho, and that's going to lead to the inner circle having a war council on Wednesday, which is clearly where MJF is going to kick out Jericho, because you saw it last night. And again, I don't care because I don't want to see these guys on my television. The same way there's guys who will make me turn to AEW, nearly all of the inner circle makes me want to turn it off. Everyone except for Wardlow and LAX, because I'm not going to call them proud and powerful. Sammy Guevara, I want to see what he's like when he comes back. Excuse me, on the Fightful podcast, Joe Herbert had a pretty interesting idea where he said that Sammy is actually the one working with MJF to kick Jericho out, which I think that would be interesting. but it's still not going to be enough to make me watch that portion of AEW TV. I'm sorry. What will though? More Ray Phoenix and more Pop, and more Jungle Boy as well too. The Casino Battle Royal was up next, where it's tag teams battle royal, um, where a team isn't eliminated until both guys are thrown out. And this match started slow. It wasn't good to me at first. I wasn't enjoying it at first. Bear Country looks like an interesting team, but Phoenix and Pac when they came out, whoo boy, like Phoenix and Pac, in my opinion, are a main event title feud waiting to happen. There's nothing in the ring these guys can't do. Nothing. It still burns me up on the inside to think that WWE had Pac for so long and didn't leverage him. This ending of this match was amazing. The last four turned out to be John Silver, Jungle Boy, Pac, and Phoenix. And I think Pac must have eliminated John Silver. Then Jungle Boy eliminates Pac. And we have Jungle Boy and Phoenix as the last two. If you can do anything else, go back and watch the last. If you want to see anything from AEW Revolution, go back and watch the last 10 minutes of this match here. Phoenix. So I almost can't even. I'm still thinking about the number of times I watched this video clip since yesterday. Jungle Boy slides outside. Phoenix runs and does a suicide dive, but it's a tope, and he goes over the banister, like over the guardrail. He goes through the middle rope and over the guardrail, which is customary for Phoenix to do some wild shit. But Rick Knox was so he saw it, I guess, from a weird angle, and it looked like Phoenix went over the top rope, and he was indignant that Phoenix had eliminated himself. And it's like, no, hold up. This dude just defied what we know of when it comes to suicide dives. And this did some reckless and wild shit. So Aubrey Edwards and Phoenix are yelling at Rick Knox. And Phoenix just says, fuck it, and slides back up under the ropes because he was never eliminated. A couple more seconds go by, and then he eliminates Jungle Boy. Now, just a second ago, I said that I'm not interested in seeing the Young Bucks wrestle, which still is true to this day. However, if you give me Pac and Phoenix against the Young Bucks, I'll watch that. Simply because I am willing to watch anything that Pac and Phoenix do in the ring. Period. I've said that multiple times on the show. I will continue to say that every time they are in the ring. Pac and Phoenix and a few others on AEW's roster will make me watch every single time. And these two guys are going to burn it the fuck down when they get their tag team title shot. Then we had what do we have next? Yeah, Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami, and this was a good match. It was hard hitting. They were definitely laying it in. It went a little long. It felt like to me. Let's see how long this match went. This match went 15 minutes. It felt like that's going to be the running theme you're going to hear me say about this show last night, and it felt like it was longer than it really was, especially for two matches that are coming up next. But it was a good match. Shida picks up the victory. She keeps her title. And I did not like the post match moment where Maki Itoh, Britt Baker, Vicky Guerrero, Nyla Rose, and Reba run out to attack them. Then Thunder Rosa runs out to save them. First and foremost, it's 5-on-1. Why the hell didn't they just beat the piss out of Rosa before she could even get into the ring? That's one thing. Second of all, it was weird. I thought for a moment that Rosa was going to turn on Shida and join Vicky Guerrero's group. 3, this felt like something that could have happened on Dynamite. I understand it sets the stage for the 6-woman tag, which is going to happen on Wednesday. It just didn't, it felt out of place for me, especially after that great match that Shida and Ryo had just put on. I wrote about last week that Shida and Ryo was probably going to be the match that stole the show for me. Might still be the case, but it was pretty good. Now, these next two matches I could have done without. Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy against Miro and Kip Sabian. Now, with Miro, you get the guy who everybody's been wanting us to get the guy who is just like the Incredible Hulk and can't be controlled when he goes and flies into a rage and just crushes everyone. That's the guy that everyone's been wanting to see in AEW. He doesn't feel like a big time draw yet, but I think he will at some point. However, this match felt out of place. And when I say out of place, it felt like an AEW Dynamite opener rather than a pay-per-view card, or rather than a pay-per-view match. And I know you have to have some of those matches that wind people up and wind people down. This didn't feel like it to me. It felt just out of place. I didn't care for this match at all. With the finish with Miro making Sabian, what happened? Miro knocked Orange Cassidy into Penelope, I think. I don't even really remember, but she crashes into the barricade hard, and Miro then pins Orange Cassidy. It's going to clearly set up something with Sabian versus Miro, which, okay, Miro's going to kill that man, but, it is what it is. I'm not really too concerned about that. I also wasn't concerned with the Adam Hangman Page against Big Money Matt Hardy match either, because this, in my opinion, felt like it could have been a main event match for Dynamite. It just did not feel like something that anybody wanted to see. Or, excuse me, I take that back. It was not something I wanted to see on the pay-per-view. I think that it would have done very well if it was a main event on a Wednesday, regular Wednesday. It could have fit there. Between this and the Miro and Kip Sabian match, we could have gotten back close to half an hour of our time, and shaving off some of the times of these other matches would have been just as good, in my opinion. But, AEW is going to run long because they do fewer pay-per-views, but it just didn't work for me last night. I was up way too late watching this stuff. Then we got the Face of the Revolution ladder match, okay, for a shot at the AEW TNT title. We had Scorpio Sky, Cody Rhodes, Penta El Zero, Lance Archer, Max Caster, and Ethan Page, who I had no idea was going to be involved in this match. I didn't hear anybody talking about him. I didn't hear anyone make hints of this at all. Nothing. But he's in AEW now. He is signed long-term deal, and he looked good. A lot of people were really surprised to see him, and they were glad that he's a part of the organization. He was last seen over in Impact, where he was last seen in Impact Hard to Kill earlier this year, where he was defeated, quote unquote, by Karate Man, which is himself. But that's how they wrote him off of television there. So now he's in AEW, and this match was good. Again, it was too long, and it was way too much Cody Rhodes, and it was actually surprising how many people were just upset with the amount of Cody Rhodes that we were getting in this match, because it was a lot. And for a brief moment, even I was worried that he was going to win for a very brief moment. And you saw a spot where Scorpio gets taken out. He's out for an extended period of time. And during that time, you're like, man, is Cody really going to win this? Is he going to do that? But then, thankfully, Scorpio Sky picks up the win. But there were some other big moments. Jake Roberts got physical in this match, and he takes a super kick from Penta. That was, no one thought, I didn't think Jake could get physical, but here he is at his age out there taking bumps. And then you can't go without saying, well, Max Caster, as you know, he does the pre-match rap, and where he basically flames everyone, and he got on everyone from Lola Bunny to Governor Cuomo, which I thought was good. That was probably his best one, in my opinion. I thought it was pretty funny. Everyone really enjoyed that. Then we got the big moment where Christian Cage was announced as the special uh, signing, Hall of Fame worthy signing. And it was a giveaway as soon as the music started, because they used Christian Cage's TNA theme, which is a great theme, by the way. Christian has some of the best, consistently some great wrestling themes. Yeah, he definitely has some consistently great themes. I on the fence. I want to maybe take some time tonight to write about this because I'm not fully sure how I feel about it. But I don't think this lives up to the hype. I think that Christian, yes, I get it. He is a big time draw. He is not, excuse me, he's not a big time draw. He is a fan favorite name. His time in WWE, his time in TNA, he is a multiple time champion. He's done a lot in this industry. I just don't think he's someone that makes me want to stop and go, yo, I am watching more because Christian is over here now. I don't think there really would have been anybody that they could have signed to make me do that. I'm sitting here thinking a lot of people thought it was going to be Kurt Angle. There were a lot of different people who individuals thought it was going to be, but I was not interested in that. It just wasn't for me. I'm interested in seeing what they do with him. I was tweeting for Daily DDT to see if people were excited, and it was kind of middle of the line. I did that actually. I did that for all three, and Maki Itoh seemed to have the biggest response. I should have did it in a poll, but that's neither. That's next time. But we'll have to see. That's really where I stand on this right now. I'm not too excited about it, but I am not going to totally shit on it yet. Yet. Then we got a cinematic match where we got Sting and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, and it looked good. I enjoyed like the cinematography of it, the intro of it looked great. The 4 men in the match looked great. Let's talk about Brian Cage for a second. Brian Cage is a video game character. There's no other way to put it. The dude looks like a robot. He looks like he has a T-1000 exoskeleton under his or skeleton in his body. When John Connor comes back to the past to fight the robots, they're going to be Brian Cage. Like that's really what they're going to look like. He earned that nickname, the Machine. He looks. I mean, the video of not the video, but the shot of him in a vertical suplex with Darby Allin above his head, and he's walking up the stairs. Help me make that make sense, please. Help me make that make sense. It was fucking bonkers. Then we get the one thing I will say I did not like about this cinematic match was the commentary. It just did not work for me. I'm thinking back to like the Boneyard match and all those. It didn't have commentary over it, and that helped. Even the one final beat with Gargano and Ciampa didn't have commentary over it, and it made it more cinematic to me. But the commentary over this just didn't feel good. I didn't like that. Seems like most people didn't like that either. There was a moment where I laughed because I just knew, I swore up and down at some point that somebody was going to go through when I thought somebody was going to get thrown through one of the windows on the second story and go through the verse, but we got something different instead. Darby does get thrown through a window, but he gets thrown through a window up against a wall, and the thing just like crashes down on top of him. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, how much longer can this guy keep that up? Because he looked like multiple times he looked like that hurt. Ricky Starks blast Sting in the back of the head with a 2x4, and obviously it's a prop, it's not real. But the way Sting's head jerked, I'm like, yo, he just killed that old man. Hooks and Hobbs, excuse me, Will Hobbs and Hook run in, but Sting gets the baseball bat and they get beat up. Sting hits the Scorpion Death Drop on Ricky Starks to get the pin. I love Ricky Starks as well. I'm gonna go ahead and say that now. That dude's a future world champion. Like he is a future world champion. If I had to put my finger on anyone maybe making a jump from AEW to WWE at some point, it might be that guy. Because Ricky Starks is absolute, for lack of a better term. Absolute Ricky Starks. That dude is legit. This was good, and I enjoyed the cinematic match. Then we got the main event, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't care what happened with the explosions. I don't. This match was still enjoyable. And if anyone tries to argue that it wasn't because of the explosions and what happened at the end, they're out of their mind. They're full of shit because this match was fun. Um, you had three sides of the ring. So yeah, where was I? Yes. So you had three sides of the ring that were covered with the barbed wire and the exploding, I guess, pyrotechnics, and one side was just the regular ropes. Then you had barbed wire set up in the corners and outside the ring. So they obviously go through all of it, and the suspense around them going through all of it was pretty strong. It cracked me up that the ref is wearing a flame retardant suit. That popped me as soon as I saw it. There was some pretty excellent spots. Man, Moxley takes the one winged angel, and as you know, no one's kicked out of that move. So the way Moxley kicks out of it is he sets off an explosion on the ropes. So Omega's basically got fire in his face. Great way to keep that move protected and to actually break up the pinfall. So you also get a barbed wire clothesline, which was amazing. There was blood maybe within the first 2 minutes of the match. Moxley gets cut open. He gets his head busted open. He's bleeding all over the place. So then you get a barbed wire clothesline where Moxley tied barbed wire around his arm and ends up clotheslining Omega. Another good spot. So the Good Brothers run in and they give Omega an exploding baseball bat that Moxley takes to the face after wailing on them with a barbed wire bat a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. He ends up taking one to the face that also explodes. So you have that. Then we get the finish. So, okay, Omega hits the one winged angel on Moxley again through a chair, pins him clean. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's not clean, but still he pins him. 1, 2, 3. Then they have a couple minutes where they're beating on him, and then they start the final countdown. It's 1 minute left. They handcuff him in the ring. They act like they're going to leave him in the ring because at 30 minutes, the ring is going to explode. That's the gimmick of barbed wire, exploding barbed wire matches. Eddie Kingston comes out, he tries to fight off the Bullet Club, for lack of a better term, and then he goes in the ring and tries to pull Moxley out. Moxley's not responsive. He's laying there basically dead. And Eddie Kingston throws his body over Moxley. This would have been an exceptional story. It would have been amazing, and everybody would have popped for it. However, the explosions are the worst explosions you've ever seen in your life. If you would have brought fireworks from Walmart, you could have done better than this. And Kingston, being the consummate wrestler he is, sells it like he's hurt. So he is laying there dead. The crowd is booing because the explosions were shit. The crowd is booing. Kingston's laying there basically dead. Moxley's laying there basically dead, and it goes off. So everybody online is like, what the hell is going on? This is the most ridiculous moment I've ever seen. During the post show phone call, media call with Tony Khan, Tony Khan explains it as um, Kenny Omega didn't know what the hell he was doing and built a faulty exploding ring. Okay, boom. Moxley does the same thing in the ring where he shoots and says basically that Kenny Omega is tough as hell, but he can't build a bomb worth shit. Something like that. So you get that. That is kind of like, okay, they're going to play this off as Kenny Omega is basically an idiot and didn't build it right, which is hilarious in its own sense. But you still don't explain why Eddie Kingston is rolling around like he was just hit by a bomb from the Hulk Squad. If you don't know who that is, I'm sorry for the deep cut there. So people are talking about that moment as if it's what the show will be remembered for, and I understand that because it wasn't a great moment in any way, shape, or form. I am thinking like I get it. It's like if the UFC has a excellent card all the way up to the main event, and then the main event ends up being some boring fight. and no one's really going to remember the rest of the card. The same thing kind of happened here with this situation. And it's unfortunate because Moxley and Omega did the damn thing for 27. How many minutes was this match? They did the damn thing for 24 of these 25 minutes. That last minute, though, oh boy, it's not. Um, it shouldn't. It's not going to hurt them. They're going to kayfabe it away on Wednesday. I'm sure they are. They're going to make fun of it, and they're gonna kayfabe this away, and it's going to make sense. But wow, that was a hell of a way to end the show, and I'm looking forward to the way they grow from this, what they learn from this, and the way you see. I'm most interested in the way people bullshit around whether or not this was good or not. I think that's going to be a hilarious conversation because wrestling Twitter is comedy. And I'm going to be on wrestling Twitter later on when I am doing my Monday Night Raw reviews and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that later on this evening and every week. But with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and close out of this episode. It's episode number 82 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, if I didn't say that already. My name is Raphael Garcia. Please be sure to like and subscribe to all of our content. I want to thank you, everyone, for listening to this. And yeah, we'll be back. We might be back later on this week for another episode. There's a lot to talk about. Bobby Lashley is world champion. WWE is moving to the Peacock Network. They released that information, so I will probably be talking about that on the show later on this week. Of course, you got NXT, AEW, and another week of wrestling action. So yeah, we'll be here. We'll be back. Thank you, everyone. Catch me at rgarcia_sports. Stay safe, wear your mask, and remember that Black Lives Matter.